Hey, my name's Kevin Drieberg. I directed Haunted Hearts, and this is my director's commentary. I also put the script together, but I'm going to try to concentrate on what you can see on the actual screen for this commentary, and hopefully there's some little things that I can point out. I realise some people don't have the time to go back and watch it a million times, so I'll tell you what I know as I'm watching it. So we recorded basically all the footage in July of 2016. Released it on the 24th of November, and we're about mid-December here, and I haven't seen this in a couple of weeks, so I've got some fresh eyes on it as well. This location is a place called the Creative Spirit Centre, which is out in Minchinbury, which is out near Rooty Hill in New South Wales. Really great people. They let us have basically the whole centre open, and they're all kind of helping us on the day, get things rearranged and whatever. You'll see the signage up there as well, the Lipton iced tea and streets and all that. They were really cool as well. The lady here who's serving Natasha, she owns the Rockabilly store, which is the main piece of the film. So she was nice enough as well to sit in and hand the coffee over to Belle right here. We'll get into some of the actors and their characters a bit later, but yeah, so we shot all this stuff. So everything that's out in at the Creative Spirit Centre, we shot it all. I think it was about 8 or 9 hours, and kind of working around. There was a car wash which was open next door, and we had to kind of work around some of the clientele that were coming in and out. You'll see, if you look at those windows, if you look out there during the course of the film, you'll see some people. We'll just put them as uncredited extras or whatever, but they were real folks who were kind of cool, and we asked if they could move their chairs and move their cards around and whatnot. Putting the cards here on that, I'd forgotten to take one of the props, which was a business card holder, so we used this little shoe, which was a scotch tape, a sticky tape dispenser. And trying to get the cards on there, just this take, we took a good grip to try to get it right, which is why we had to make that cut just earlier on. But throughout the whole thing, I was just trying to get as many one takes as possible. All this is one take up and back, and you'll see in a second when the narrator comes in and all that. And the start when Adam gets out of his car and goes in, the coffee swap and all that, all in one take. So I was trying to get that as much as possible. Kind of inspired by Rope directed by Hitchcock. That shirt here, you'll see the UV lights or whatever. Shout out to Mitch and Jess, who did the lights for us. That was one of their little creative spins on what we can have visualized. So the idea there was to have something which was glowing that wouldn't naturally occur, which is bring that supernatural element to that piece of wardrobe. While we're on the wardrobe as well, so everything you'll see here is back on that, you'll see a flash. I don't know if you caught that flash that happened just there as they bumped. I like to think it was, I like to tell people that it was well timed, that we had some pressure pads on them, and when they hit each other there was a flash going off to symbolise that was the start of it or whatever. But in all actuality, Brett, who also did the music for the film, he was on set doing some still photography, and that was his flash going off as he didn't know we'll actually the film was live there, and he was just taking some stills. But anyway, that worked. All this kind of stuff. So this is the Rockabilly store, which is on the side of the cafe that we started on. What else can I tell you about this? Those shirts, we had 3 of those shirts that we used in various stages. It was Phoenix was the lady doing the wardrobe and costuming for us, and she did really well with all the coffee stains and all that, stepping in basically in between each take and putting liquid glycerine or something to make it glisten, whatever. And here's Matt Hodge. All right, I'll tell you something. So just before I do, the narrator addressing the audience, for those who know, but those who don't, was heavily influenced by the Twilight Zone, where Rod Serling would step in at the top and tail to kind of introduce and wrap up the story. And so that brought it in here. Matt, the guy who's playing the narrator, Matt Hodge, uh, he basically jumped me off on making this film. We went and saw The Hateful Eight, which was a Tarantino film. It was like the roadshow version, so we were in there like with the programs, and there was like an intermission and all that, and it was just, that experience to me was just so much larger than having a film. It was like just this, it was an evening, it was an experience. It was like, it was the first time where I really opened my eyes and then be like, you can make a film, but it can be a little more than that as well. So after that, I scripted some scripts. I drafted some scripts and got them over to Matt, and he's kind of helped me out. And so I'm grateful to a million degrees that he agreed to. Well, actually, he jumped at the idea of actually getting on camera and being our narrator. So that was, for me, that was really cool. But what I was about to say before was Everin, the guy who cut the film together brilliantly, I got to say. The whole thing, he was just fascinated by Matt. And just the way that he grips in the audience when he's there, like with his eyes and his hands and the delivery and his his eloquence and all this. So I don't know if anyone else finds that funny, but to me it's infinitely funny that everyone must have seen like the film. No, countless times, and just each time, narrator's back on. So to me that's funny. And you'll see here as well, just while we're on Everin as well. So just when the script flips and he gets that shirt put on, there's that little slight tint, like a hint of a tint on the it's a blue tint on the film. And that was that's one of my little things that makes me laugh, is when a character's like, yeah, and then here just putting in the rewind effects just to kind of get the audience knowing that, all right, we're not dealing just with a normal film. It's going to be a little silly and a bit quirky, so we put that in there with those little the 3 hand slaps or whatever. I don't know if I'm breaking any magic here, but Liz's the lady Liz playing Belle is just ducked under behind the counter. She didn't actually disappear. And you'll notice there's a garbage bin missing there, and you'll see it pop up later, and that was my bad. There was something that I'll point out a bit later on, but if you see there's a red dress in that corner, I'll point that out later on. This is I shot some film for another store in the centre, and that lady Christina Galvin was part of that, and when I gave all the footage to Everin, he found some of that footage and he slotted in there, and it worked beautifully, because the story of him, like, you know, getting changed and getting made up and finding himself, really rings true with her being in her street clothes, and then getting that. You'll see it later on. She gets another cutout scene as she gets her nail polish done up, and then at the end she's all made up. So that was that. We had fun with this scene as well. Handing over that coffee, it took us a good grip. I would say we were there for a while, but just that little exchange would have taken us about 20 minutes. And in the end, we didn't end up using it. We had a whole lot of close-ups of the hand. Oh no, I think the hand was like 20 centimeters to the left. No, it was. We did that a million times. But yeah, in the end, we didn't end up using it. We just used, again, that one shot. As many times as I could just use a one shot. We went ahead and edited that way just to get the bit of fluidity. Also, I've got to point out that throughout this whole thing, we had tripods and we had dollies and we had sliders and all this, but we chose to really go with the handheld effect as much as we could. Marcus was the guy behind the camera, and he was ducking in and out and zooming in, and like really, the idea was to get it as if there was a story playing, but when you're not watching the story, you kind of like, you're flying around. Oh, you'll see there as well, I don't know if you want to rewind or whatever, but when you see that sign, you'll see some of the actors on the right hand side of the sign, which we've kind of skipped over, and then we saw it and we thought it was funny, so we left it in. These guys as well are real cool people at Brainwave, which is I believe it's on Harris Street. It's down near it's in the main part of Sydney anyway. Really cool as well. They opened up their doors and helped us with a lot of stuff. Tom up there is one of my guys. He helped us out at the starting. Let me tell you something real quick. When you see Eva come in, who's played by Ellie, we had Yeah, here. So this wasn't meant to be split screen. What to begin with, we had this rig on the bottom of Eva's high heels, where we had these LED lights shining up. So we had a close up of her feet, and then she was walking in, and then she would walk up the stairs, and you get these like, it looked like not like she was like kind of, she wasn't in this world either. It was like something a little bit strange about it, because you had these like those LA gear shoes or whatever, but yeah. So we had this rig again. Mitch and Jess can take the credit for this, but we had these cables going up her leg and up her dress, and then like a battery, and she looked like this cyborg or whatever. So people outside were wondering, what are these guys doing? And then when we got the tape back, it was just like, yeah, so we cut that out and just split screened it, which I think works kind of cool. It was just like, two different worlds, and then two different worlds combined, and then she walks in. The light there as well, behind the underneath the glowing ice, you'll see again another Mitch specialty. There it is, another Mitch specialty. He I think for half of it he was like under the table holding a light up between the crack, and then he kind of strapped it up or whatever. And then there's played, when you'll see in the apartment, we actually had some, to mimic that kind of effect, when you get that match cut, is actually some ice that we got on eBay, which has, it's like fake ice, which actually has lights in it, so we use that in there. But in here, it's real water, real ice, and a light shining up from underneath. A little cool piece of real life effects, which is, if we can get stuff like that, that's my preference. These gloves as well were a last minute ring in. We had a mask that she was going to wear, and again, it just didn't fit. On paper, it was kind of cool. It was like a masquerade mask, and it's like, who's this? And then when they're in the apartment, she takes it off, but it just didn't play out too well. This, I also got to mention the audio here. We had to redub. So downstairs, it was actually, the cafe was live at this point, so they were actually making smoothies and whatnot, and some of the audio was kind of unusable, so we had to go back and ADR it. I guess a bit of advice for anyone this is my first film that I did, so both production and directing on the day. So lessons that I learned, I'll share them through here. Get good with a sound guy. Pay someone if you have to. Just make sure it's right, because we had a few moments where it was touch and go, that we didn't know if we were gonna like strip everything out and put titles in and make it a silent movie or whatever. I mean, we got there in the end, just like the day before we had to drop it. But yeah, sound's a huge thing, which is something that I learnt. So don't skimp on that. If you have to get a few people to do it or whatever, if you need someone to do it live and you need someone to go back through post, because that's where their strong points are, then just make sure you address all that. While we're on the audio as well, the music through here was done. I actually can't hear what's playing, but I think the music starts a little later. I'll mention that later on. That little line there, if anyone, for people who probably don't know, the line that she speaks is in French. Ellie's she's a French speaker, and I'm also, my background, my family speaks French, and I just thought it's kind of cool that, he doesn't know what she said. She's just like an element which is out of his little world, and that's the whole premise of the story, is that he's in his own little world, but there's much more out there, and there's these girls trying to help him, and one or a couple that are trying to hinder him, but but in all, he opens up and learns that there's more than just him, and that kind of plays at the end. Spoiler alert. I probably should have mentioned straight up that I'll go through this with just telling you what I know, so there might be some spoilers. Casey, who's played by Danny, all her clothes, I believe. The accessories we got some resources on that. That was again Phoenix, who put together the cowboy tie or whatever, and the hard earrings, which play real nice, and that luck head wrap or whatever. Also, really good, a little detail that I like is her shoes. You'll see them at the end, but they got like they're like blood red, but they got like a little heart shape on the toe of it, which those little details are something that that I take pride in, that we didn't just say there it is. We kind of went a little bit deeper and put some stuff in that we kind of think is cool. So the idea is that the characters, Adam is the spade, Casey is the heart. You'll see she's got hearts everywhere. Adam's the spade because like a spade is like death, like a representation of death. Heart, obviously love. She's the one who's trying to help him. Diamonds is Eva. You know, she's sparkling. She's the temptress, and Belle's the club who like literally clubs. In the early script, she took a weapon, a blunt object, and hit him over the head, and that was her club. But yeah, that club meaning like war, and then she's the one who ultimately, well, not ultimately, but who halfway through brings his demise. This is a CGI effect, which I think is cool. Everyone again went above and beyond to do that. It was something that he learnt on the job, and the whole dead man's hand thing came about quite late in the process. Basically, the way that I wrote the script was very layered. So we put we had like the basic script, like this is what happens, this is the way the characters interact, and this is the locations they're going to go in. We kind of locked all that in. We got everyone through to rehearsals, and then went down to the dialogue and kind of like not only how would this person speak and how would they act, but how would these two characters react. There's only one point in the film where there's actually 3 characters that are alive, and it's only for like a couple of seconds when just before Adam getting his magic purple dust. But yeah, everything was it was these two characters, like how does the interaction between how does this character interact with the story? How did the interaction between these two characters interact with the story? So that was the second layer. The third layer was we put all the bits of symbolism and stuff, which some people don't didn't quite get on board with. But for me, that was just a layer that if you see it, you can kind of get with it. If you don't, I don't think it takes too much away from the story. And then the other kind of layer we had is strictly through the eyes of Adam. So if you look at the whole film with just through his eyes, like don't worry about what else is going on, but just imagine what he's doing from start to end. That's to me that's the most purest of the story, because ultimately I'm trying to get this film out to somebody who could identify themselves, well, probably doesn't identify themselves as an Adam, but people around them would identify them as having some of the traits that Adam would have. And again, if they can get another message out of the story, that was the other layer that we had. This, I'm pretty sure, is where we've got the music coming through. And so the music we did on this, Brett Hennebury, who did the title song, which I'll get to right now because there's a bit of time. So the song Horn and Heart came from Brett. I've known Brett for a long time. We did some music a long time ago. I grew up with Brett, so he sent me a bunch of tracks through, and this is before any of this kind of stuff jumped off. And I heard this one song, Horn and Heart, which he re-recorded for the sake of this film, but the original, it was like, as soon as I heard it, I'm like, gotta do something with this. And that's where the inspiration for, having the name and then rolling off the back of the name, having the film of the same name and the same kind of, a lot of the things is like, of the lyrics, if you go back and listen to the title song, it's like, it's all in your head, and that's, I think, this match cut, just to go off on a tangent, that match cut is something that I'm kind of proud of. Again, the symbolism there, like, it's just something that we just tacked it on there. But I mean, if it's not your thing, it's not your thing. But anyway, you see there on the left, there's a picture of Nathan. So Nathan plays Adam, but it's him and his a niece or something. A picture we dragged up off Instagram, and he didn't know about it until the day. And we're like, can we use this? We're like, we need to use it. And he's like, yeah, that's dope. So we put that up there, just to show that, like, Adam has a life outside of this little life. But in all cases, because he doesn't see, he doesn't reference it or whatever, there it is on the left there. That it's just like, because it's not here and now, he doesn't care about it. So That's just another little thing that we put in there. There's a wallet there as well. The first time we shot this is in my apartment, right? So that's the bed where I lay my head at night, and I still of course I've washed the sheets and I've got different blankets and all this, but I still find pieces of that glitter even now, all throughout my bed and the living room where we put the makeup and the costume and all that is up in the other room. But I'm getting sidetracked. When the first time we shot that on the first take, Adam is so excited. He takes his shoes off. He threw his shoes right at my mirror, man, and it almost broke it. So we're like, hey, chill for a second. And then we brought it back, and it was like, so now he like gently places it on the side. This is something which I don't think we absolutely nailed it, but when she turns, again, my little thing that I that's my little touch. But I don't think we nailed this bit here where she kind of flashes into Belle. I don't know. I think we could have done something where like she morphs in or something. But the idea was, so there's three characters. There's Adam, there's Casey, and there's Belle. And Belle becomes Eva. So, you know, she's the one who puts the curse on him and gives him the shirt. And then she becomes Eva and seduces him and brings him off track. And then, you know, yeah, but I don't know. If that doesn't kind of play out, it is what it is. Those lights again, that blue room and the red room, or after we put the filters and the effects on the video, it became the peach room and the lavender room. That piece of lighting there. I mean, it's a shame that the camera wasn't on point to kind of get that, but the light in the oven's kind of cool. With that the apple tea towel, there's an apple in the background. Again, just skip over it. It's not you. There's a funny little story. When we were kind of prepping this, Mitch and Jess were trying to figure out where to put the lights and whatnot. And the first idea was to put the lights in the freezer. And then he comes in and he opens the freezer. And then he looks around. And then I thought it was like Marcus or someone was like, you know, it's probably not a good idea to put live electricity in a water box. So yeah, put it in the oven. And this, hopefully people get this. It's my little time to handle this dumbbell. At the top of the show, he's like, Belle, that's a dumb name. And she's like, oh, I remember you said that. So he picks up the dumbbell and he handles the dumbbell because he's got a dumb. Anyway, this pickup scene we had to do. It was a storm coming or something, and then we had to rush and do the last scene. So that was at the side of my place, and we just found this little alley. These shots and the time lapse was over Umina Beach and Ettalong Beach, which is a place where my sister showed me. Is you got to hike up this mountain. So after we wrapped on all this, a couple of weeks later, we just had to get those fill-in spots. So Nathan and myself went on a little hike and got those shots, which I think plays really nice. It kind of, not only does it establish the scene and whatever, but it kind of brings a bit of perspective that, you know, it's these little guys doing this little story in a little world, but you know, it could be happening anywhere. It could be happening next door. It could be, you know, just so happens it's in this little town. And yeah, just for the record, so the shots of there with the beach and all that, it's quite different than where we actually are. Mitch and Bree's you know, it's a place which is it's a very dry place in the middle inland. Let me say that. But yeah, I don't think it takes anything away from it, even if you know it. Yeah, this is the only scene where three people, I think. Yeah, she should be around. Yeah, there we go. Three people live at the same time for a second. And this was that glitch, that little step, and then the rewind, and then the step again was something that was a Premiere Pro. I'm not going to say it was a mistake. It was an incidental feature. It's something that it came through when we dumped the file and we watched him. Let's keep it in, because at the start he does that thing with where he rewinds when he's slapping himself, and for whatever reason, it worked well there. Something that we couldn't have planned, but I think it works. Well, actually, I'm a big fan of it. all this stuff, man, that freaks me out. See the babies in the background, all that. See that little baby on the bottom left? It's got one sock on there. Started off with 2 socks, and then halfway through, someone mentioned, "Hey, he's only got 1 sock," and then for the last bit, he has got no socks on. So I don't know what's going on there. They're kind of, yeah, little spooky little baby, little Chucky. This is one of my favourite speeches. Unfortunately, we didn't get the shot where Casey like wraps around. She gives his speech behind the counter. So like when Belle was behind there, and then she's there, and then she's like, it's like a podium, and she's like, I own the store now and whatever. And we couldn't use that. There was some issues with stuff that was in the background or whatever. But I think it works here because they're on either side of the body. So even though you just see them, you'll see them. There you go. Oh wait, there's a body between them. You know, so the little things on paper I think worked really well. Kind of bought it, and it's not obvious, you know. So a lot of the stuff we try to do is you know, we focus on the character and then we focus on the story after that. So you see these two, and then oh yeah, and then you kind of remember that there's the body between them, and then kind of bring something else as well. All right. What can I tell you about this?
Send him back.
Again, this is an alternate take that we had to use, but kind of cool because I think the zoom in matches up. This is the last thing we did on that day. Dump way too much purple magic dust on this poor dude, man. And after we did that, I was just like, nah. And he had to. Here we go. I like this match card as well. That's dope. And after that, Nathan lives like it was about a 2-hour trip on the train away. So he's riding on the train. Well, this was, I think we wrapped at about 9 or something, and he had to go home. With this, with glitter all over him. Yeah. This shot I like. When you got everything in there, and those the Michelangelo hands come back into it. Adam. I don't know if anyone picked up on that, but that's kind of cool. And then this split screen. We did this split screen, so this is all one shot, right? From when he becomes rejuvenated, and he works out what's going on. He weighs up his options. Alright, let's do it. He stumbles out. He goes and does the rest of it, right? All this, like the top and the bottom, is all one shot, but it just played way too long. Like on the day, it was the instructions were just like, you know, you take it as long as you can. You know, you've got no life. You're almost given up. You've got no will. You've got no hope. But there's just something that says, you know, if you can get out of here and you can go back outside closer to where you think Casey is, it might be all right. So just kind of draw on that, and everything else is like, you should be dead. So we took a long time just to get out of bed. Like at the top, so he hasn't even left his bed yet. Right? We just took so long to do it. And then when it played on film at the end, it was just like, this is way too long. Which, I mean, the purpose of it was not only that. I mean, that was the direction that you know, his life forces were all drained, but the purpose, going back into the purpose of that character into that story at that moment, was that it's patience for the viewer to watch, you know. So he had to have patience when he was at the store, at the cafe with Eva, and then and she's like, I can wait, can you? And like all that, and then Casey saying, don't get distracted and all that. So like he had to have patience, like he shouldn't have run off with Eva or whatever. And this is something that if you're in that situation, maybe you'll get it. That it's just, you know, oh come on, just get out there already. But you know, you got to have that patience to watch it, just the same way as the character has to have patience to kind of get his little his moment of truth or whatever. And then this bit here when he pushes the frame, I love that. So yeah, all that was all one take. It worked well, and the piece of music there, I didn't talk about the music. The piece of music there was called The Joker, which is another dope piece I really liked, all done by Brett. So let me just touch on this real quick. Brett, he sat through all the production meetings with us, and just took notes and stuff, and then he just went away and just did, I think, 6 or 7 tracks, and just gave it to us and just said, you know, use them where you want, you know. any length, cut them up, any order, use them a million times, whatever. And so he was real dope about that, and everything fitted perfectly, absolutely perfectly. Yeah, that just reminds me, the first, I said before, like the first one was going to be a lot bloodier. Instead of getting the magic purple dust, he got clobbered and whatever. In the first one as well, he had instead of the dumbbell, he like gets a can of fly spray and a lighter and like lights a fireball, and then he had a knife and he's running down, and we just like kind of stripped it back. It's just like, let's just make something that everyone can show, like, you know, anyone who worked on the film, cast and crew, can show their people. That whole thing, I got to credit that to Janelle. So not to Janelle, sorry, to Georgina, who plays Janelle, the lady in the background there. So when it came time to costuming, Georgina, who's a lovely lady, and she's brilliantly talented, and everything she does, man, we couldn't have asked for a better performance throughout the whole film. She did absolutely dope. But yeah, it was her thing, and she's like, I bought this dress, and you know, maybe we can use it for this. And then it kind of sunk in for a little while, and then I'm like, you know what, that looks exactly like the back of a card. And so we put that in there, which I think works beautifully. That shot on the right, we had to, I was standing outside of a 2-story window, hanging out the window with the handycam, trying to get the bird's eye shot. And this is, I think we shot this early in the day. I think this is one of the first scenes we shot, actually. That dress there, for people who like to kind of tie things together and connect dots, that's the dress of Eva. So when I said before Belle becomes Eva, that's, yeah, it's a little foreshadowing. I don't know if that's the right word. And so yeah, back to the concluding statement from our narrator. And if you're looking for we're coming towards, actually, this is the end of the film, so that's all I can say. Yeah, I hope people enjoyed the film. I mean, we learnt a lot of stuff. Like I said, this is the first project that we kind of got together on. From start to end, you'll see the credits of people. I think there was I'm going to say between 18 and 21 people, cast and crew. And I think 3, maybe 2 of them have worked on a film project before. So I mean, all the actors, barring Ellie, who was a veteran and she helped him with a lot of character development and whatever. But yeah, everyone else, man, they jumped onto this, and yeah, as a debut project for everyone, I think we did really well. Everyone worked really well together, and I'm proud of the little piece of tape and history that we made. Let me just see if I can run through. Tom did the audio, all the hair and makeup people are all real dope. Yeah, Tom again. Marcus did a lot, and he helped a lot. Natasha, the Creative Spirit Center, and some of the people who let us use some of their assets. All these, Tice is up there. I got to mention Tice. He went to film school and taught me everything he knew. Tice is a good dude. And here's the final bit, just to kind of wrap up the entire story and bring a conclusion to all the characters. And as a conclusion to this commentary, that'll just about do it for me. So yeah, I'll see you on the next one, eh? Alright.